Okay, today I'm going to introduce the C.156 toy train that I found at an estate sale about 10 years ago in Edmonds, Washington. These are tin trains, probably produced, around 1950 or in the 1950s, I'm guessing. There's not much information about them online, and they're pretty rare, the listings for them. They're made in Japan. You can tell from the markings there on the bottom of the cabooses, and also on each rail it's marked Japan also. The gauge is almost exactly 1 inch between the inside of the rails there, so kind of a gauge that's not so common, I suppose, in the United States. These trains take 2 D batteries that you can load in the back by swiveling this and opening this hatch here. The switches in the front, and the light lights up as well. The back hatch on both the locomotives is a little bit bent there because the tin is just not very strong, I suppose, over years of use. And to compensate, I've just kind of bent out the contact there for the battery, the back of the battery, just bent it out a little bit so that it makes. These weren't really running when I first got them. What I had to do was just basically 3 simple things. I sanded the battery contacts on the inside and on the back of the batteries a little bit, just to make contact. Then the light went on, but the engine didn't go on. And but then as soon as I nudged the drive wheels just a tiny bit, then they started running also. I also put a tiny bit of sewing machine oil, just at the bearings of the wheels and the kind of the joints of the moving pieces here, and then it ran better. All this came to me in a non-original box, the tracks and all the 2 locomotives, 2 cabooses, and 2 coal cars. I'm assuming that it was originally 2 simple sets. There's 2 switches and also 2 Y intersections there too. I'll show you a little bit about how the switches and the tracks work, and then we'll get to running the train again with them. The tracks all have female ends on one side and male ends on the other side, wire. And if they're a little bit loose, you can just get a needle nose plier and just kind of crimp a little bit right where it's thin there, and it makes them tight again. The switches work like so. One of them wasn't working when I got it. I had to open up the bottom of it. It's all tin, and re-link the joints in there, and then it works fine after that. I also oiled it a tad to get it to move properly. The other one is the same. The switches and the Ys all have direction indicators there, so it's basically one possible way that you can go on these. The trains always go counterclockwise around curves, and it kind of fits with the way the drive wheels are made too. You can see that they're slightly angled. Here it looks like they're angled sort of up and to the left, and that basically keeps it going on a counterclockwise curve pretty well. I've got the track set up now with basically 2 switches and 3 possible circuit variations here. I'm going to turn it on and just show you how the switches work. First, I'll just let it go around the outer circuit. I'll switch this switch here. And I'll switch the other switch here. I'm going to switch it back. This is maybe the most elegant construction for this set, because the switches are right next to each other. You can control both of them very conveniently. But I thought of a couple other possible ways. By the way, although batteries inside the locomotive isn't the most efficient thing for a toy model train, it does give it a really nice heavy feeling. It feels like it's really made of iron or something. This arrangement actually gives 4 possibilities here, 4 circuits. The outer biggest circuit, the middle inner circle, and then the right oval and the left oval. You can see with this arrangement the 2 switches are opposite. Derailments are most common right around this area here when you go into the inside track. If this thing isn't fully deployed, then the one wheel will kind of jump this hump there and it'll go off this way. But the ways to make sure are that this is solid and that this doesn't push back. If it does, you might try crimping the base of the lever here a little bit, just very lightly and very carefully, so that this has a bit of friction. It's good if it moves fully, but not terribly easily. So a little bit of oil might be, like a tiny drop of oil might be good at the linkages here to overcome some friction, but where the actual lever is, it doesn't really help to have it lubricated. I can think of another way to perhaps make these kind of things, if they're problematic, to make them better, at least temporarily, would be to put, there's a pin that comes up right there that controls that back and forth, and if you could put just a tiny piece of metal or something in there that would make it kind of push the white thing out just a tad more there, then that might get you a little bit more angle on it that would enable you to make. Here's a third arrangement. There's a bigger oval and then a smaller circle there, and the basic general idea is to put 3 segments on the outer parts of the half circles and then 2 segments on the inner side. So I'm going to guess that this was basically one original set. It required a total of 8 segments. I got a total of 16 segments in there within the box that I bought, as well as 2 locomotives and 2 of everything for the cars and stuff. So so I'm guessing that must have been 2 sets. Let's fire it up. There's no reverse on these and no way to slow them down, at least not that's included in the set. Here's the other engine here. It's a little bit faster. Even though it's faster, I found it takes the turns just as well as the other one. I do have some derailments sometimes, usually because the track isn't quite connected, or the switch isn't fully deployed. The underside of the switches have basically the tin tabs that you just, if you need to get in there for any reason, you just slightly bend those and pull them out. There's some tabs on the top there too. Using more than the basic set here, using parts from both sets, I put together one more arrangement which has an inner circle of 2 segments on this side, and I believe 3 segments right there, and then a kind of a triangular outer track here, and let's see how that works. Has a couple side tracks there for cars that aren't being used also. I was kind of interested in the climbing ability of these, like if it would be able to go up over a bridge that would go over an underpass or something like that. And it seems like it's pretty strong, so let me show you here. The track is also fairly flexible too, so I think something like that would be possible, but I don't really have enough track, and probably some straight pieces would be really necessary for doing an underpass type thing. One last note about the light bulbs. This one here is very bright, and that's I'm gonna guess probably meant as a 3-volt bulb. The one here is quite a bit less bright, and my guess is that's probably a 4.5 volt bulb that is just doing service as a 3-volt bulb. So it probably would be nice also to get a shorter bulb like this one here is probably more like the original would be. But these are fairly easy to get, the screw type bulbs of various sizes and voltages, and I think even you have them in LED now, which would make the batteries last longer. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about the C-156. I don't know how these guys are making it around there without any coal, but they're doing it somehow.